So last time we were able to last video we were able to destroy the record from the table. So this time we're going to fetch all from the song now, because you remember we have the users as well as the table for the songs that they own, which is here. So we're going to fetch all these songs based on the user we describe, so based on the user ID. So if we want all the songs for user 1, we expect that it should give us this ID 1 and that of ID 5, because you can see the user ID 1 here and user ID 1 here. So that's the idea. So it's very similar to what we had with the user file, just very similar. But now we have that for the songs, and we can see we have also a set song method that will set all the class attributes for the song when needed. So the first method we're using is called all, and is expecting the user ID to be passed to it. And if you come to the main file here, and let me open that up, we can see that it's expecting the song dot all, so it's calling that method with the user ID. So it's saying for user with ID 2, get all his songs or her songs. So what we need to do is we're going to make the connection as usual. Then with context manager we create the cursor, then we run the query, and the query simply says select all from songs table where the user ID is this variable, order by ID ascending. So it's going to expect this to be the user ID which we're feeding it here. So remember, we still need to use the comma because that's the syntax. So we'll now put that to execute, query value, it will execute that, and now we need to fetch because we need to show that value. So fetch all and store it in fetch, and we now run for record in fetch. So it's going to take the record and display it this way. So we need the ID, is going to be record ID. So it's going to fetch with the ID key and get the value. And same with the user ID and the rest. So let me word wrap that way. So at the end of the day, we commit that connection and we'll say fetch completed and return true. If there are any errors, it will catch that, and finally we close all connection. So that's simply what we're going to do here. So let's go back and we can see now that, okay, to the main, yes. And we can see now that we need to run that. So we'll give it a shot and let me run it here. And now we can see now from this that it gives us two query results. Sorry. So the first is shows that the ID is 2 with the user ID as 2 and gives the name, the genre and the other details. And this is the second one with the ID of 3 for the user ID of 2 and the name and the genre. And it says fetch completed. So with this we can see now that we can fetch the records based on the user, the owner of the songs. That's the user ID.